Hello and welcome to the next edition of the HP Discover podcast series. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host and moderator for this ongoing discussion on IT innovation and how it's making an impact on people's lives. Our next big data case study discussion explores the ways that Spirent Communications advances the use of big data to provide improved user experiences for telecommunications operators. We'll learn how advanced analytics drawing on more data sources provides Spirent's telco customers rapid insights into their networks and operations. Combined with analysis of user actions and behaviors, the total picture approach to telco services and uses both improves the actual services proactively and also boosts the ability to better support help desk callers. Spirent's insights helps operators in highly competitive markets reduce the spend on support, reduce user churn, and better adhere to service level agreements while providing significant technical productivity gains. To hear how Spirent uses big data to make major positive impacts on telco operations, please join me in welcoming our guest. We're here with Tom Russo, Director of Product Management and Marketing at Spirent Communications in Matawan, New Jersey. Welcome, Tom.
Hi, Dana. Thanks for having me.
Glad you're with us. You know, user experience quality and enhancement is essential, especially when we're talking about consumers that can change carriers if they wanted to, and controlling that experience is more challenging for an organization like a telco. They have so many variables across that network. So at a high level, tell me how Spirent masters complexity using big data to help telcos maintain the best user experience.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So believe it or not, historically, operators have actually not really managed their customers so much as they've managed their networks. And even within the networks, they've done this in a fairly siloed fashion. So there would be radio performance teams that would look at whether the different cell towers were operating properly, giving good coverage and signal strength to subscribers. And they, as you might imagine, wouldn't talk to the core network people who would make sure that people could get IP addresses and properly transmit packets back and forth. And they had their own tools and systems, which were separate yet again from the services people who would look at the different applications. And you can see where it's going. There were also customer care people who had their own tools and systems that didn't leverage any of that network data, and is very inefficient and not wrapped around the customer or the customer experience. And they sort of got by with those systems when the networks weren't running too hot, when competition wasn't too fierce. They could get away with that. But these days, with their peers offering better quality of service, over-the-top threats, increasing complexity on the network in terms of devices, application services, it really doesn't work anymore. It takes too long to troubleshoot real customer problems. They spend too much time chasing down blind alleys in terms of solving problems that don't really affect the customer experience, et cetera. And they need to take a more customer centric approach. And as you'd imagine, that's where we come in. So what we do is we integrate data across those different silos in the context of subscribers. So what we do is we collect data across those different silos: the radio performance, the core network performance, the provisioning, the billing, et cetera, and fuse it together in the context of subscribers. And then we help the operator identify proactively where that customer experience is suffering, what we call hotspots, so that they can act before the customers call and complain, which is expensive from a customer care perspective, and before they churn, which is very expensive in terms of customer replacement. And so it's a more customer-centric approach to managing the network.
Your customer experience management division is really in the business of doing what they had a difficult time doing internally, but one of the major aspects of this is pulling together disparate data from different sources so that you can get the proactive inference and insight. So what did you do in order to do what they couldn't do when it comes to the technology around data acquisition?
Yeah, so first key step is being able to integrate with a variety of these different systems. Each of the groups had their different tools, different data formats, different vendors, and so our solution has a very strong what we call extract, transform, load or data mediation capability to pull together all these different data sources together, map it into a uniform model of the telecom network and the subscriber experience. So this allows us to see the connections between the subscriber experience, the underlying network performance, and even things like outcomes, whether people churn, whether they provide negative survey responses, whether they've called and complained to customer care, et cetera. And then we can, with that holistic model, build higher level metrics like quality of experience scores, predictive models, et cetera, to looking across those different silos, help the operators, again, see sort of where the hotspots of customer dissatisfactions are where people are going to potentially churn or other costs are going to be incurred.
Right. So before we go a bit more deep into this data issue, tell me a bit more about Spirent. Is the customer experience division the only part? Tell me about the larger company, just so we have a sense of the breadth and depth of what you offer.
Sure. Most people, at least in telecom, know Spirent as a lab vendor. Spirent is one of the world leaders in the markets for simulating, emulating, testing devices, network elements, applications and services, et cetera, as they go from the development phase to the launch phase in their life cycle. And most of their products focus on that lab testing or the launch testing, making sure that the devices are, as we call it, fit for launch. But Spirent has historically had less of a presence in the live network domain. And in the last year or two, they've made a number of strategic acquisitions in that space and have made a number of internal investments in that space to leverage the capabilities and knowledge base that they have on the lab side into the live network. And so one of those investments, for example, was an acquisition back in early 2014 of DAX Technologies, a leading customer experience management vendor. And that acquisition, plus some additional internal investments, has led to the growth of our CEM, Customer Experience Management business unit that I'm now part of.
Tom, tell me some typical use cases where your customers are using Spirent in the field. Who are those that are interacting with the software? What is it that they're doing with it? What are some of the typical ways in which it's bringing value there?
Sure. So we have basically two user bases that leverage our analytics. One is customer care groups. And so essentially what they're trying to do is obtain very quickly a 360-degree view of the experience that a subscriber is seeing, who's calling in and complaining about their service and the root causes of problems that they might be having with that with their services. If you think about the historic mode of operation, this was very time-intensive, costly operation because they would have to swivel chair, as we call it, between a variety of different systems and tools to try and figure out whether I had a network-related issue or a provisioning issue or a billing issue or something else. And these calls could potentially take hours, even hundreds of dollars to resolve. And with our system, the customer care groups can stare at sort of one single pane of glass, one screen, see all aspects of the customer experience, very quickly identify the root causes of issues that they're having and resolve them. So it keeps the customer happier and reduces the cost of the customer care operation. So the second group that we serve is on the engineering side. And what we're trying to help them do is identify hotspots of customer dissatisfaction on the network, whether that be in terms of devices or applications or services or network elements, so that they can prioritize their resources around those hotspots as opposed to sort of noisy traditional engineering alarms. And the idea here is with, this allows them to have maximal impact on the customer experience with minimal costs, minimal resources.
Great. Now, in September, you rolled out some new and interesting services, solutions. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So we rolled out the latest iteration of our InTouch solution, our flagship product. It's called InTouch Customer Network Analytics. And it really sort of addresses feedback that we've received from customers in terms of what they want in an analytics solution moving forward. So we're hearing that they want to be more proactive and predictive. So don't just tell me sort of what's going on right now, what's gone on historically, how things have trended, but help me understand what's going to happen moving forward. Where are customers going to complain, leave? Where is the network going to experience performance problems, in the future? So that's an increasing area of focus for us, and something that we've embedded to a great degree in the InTouch CNA product. Another thing that they've told us is that they want to have more flexibility and control on the visualization and reporting side. So don't just sort of give me a stock set of dashboards and reports and have me rely on you to modify those over time. I have my own data scientists, my own engineers now that want to explore the data themselves. So what we've done there is embedded Tableau BI technology into our product to give them maximal flexibility in terms of report authorship and publication, et cetera. And we really like the combination of Tableau and Vertica, actually, because it allows them to be able to do those ad hoc reports and then also get good performance through the Vertica database at the same time. And another thing that we're doing more and more is what we call closed loop analytics. So not just identifying an issue or a customer problem on the network, but then also being able to trigger an action. So we have an integration and partnership with another business unit in Spirent called MobileThink that can change, device settings, for example. So if we see a device is misprovisioned, we can send an alert to MobileThink, and they can reprovision the device to correct something like a misconfigured APN, misprovisioned APN, and resolve the problem. And then we can use our system to confirm, indeed, that the fix was made and that the experience is improved.
So it's clear to me, Tom, how we can get great benefits from doing this properly, and how the value escalates. The more data and the more information you get, the better you are to serve those customers. But let's look and drill down a bit into how you can make this happen. So the data, are we talking about 10 different data types, 50? What size, given the stream and the amount of data that comes off of a network, what size data are we talking about, and how do you get a handle on that?
Yeah, sure. So our largest deployment, we're talking about a couple of dozen different data sources and a total volume of data on the order of 50 to 100 billion transactions a day. So it's large volume, especially on the transactional side, and high variety. In terms of what we're talking about, it's a lot of machine data. So as I mentioned before, there's the radio performance, core network performance, service performance type information. But we also look at things like, are you provisioned correctly for the services that you're trying to interact with? We look at your ticket history, trouble ticket history, to try and correlate things like network performance and customer care activity. We'll look at survey data, NPS, Net Promoter Score type information, billing, churn related information. So really, we're trying to tie it all together, everything from the subscriber transactions and experience to the underlying network performance, again, to the outcome type information. What was the impact of the experience on your behavior?
And what specifically is your history with HP Vertica? Has this been something that's been in place for some time, or did you switch to it from something else? How did that work out?
Yeah, so we're finishing right now the migration to HP Vertica technology, and it will be embedded in our InTouch Customer Network Analytics solution. And there's a couple of things that we like about Vertica. I mean, one is the price performance aspects of Vertica. So, the columnar lookups, the projections, give us very strong query response performance, but it also is able to run on commodity hardware, which gives us a price advantage, which is also bolstered by the columnar compression. And so price performance-wise, we like it. Maturity-wise, we like it. It's a field-proven, tested solution. And there's some other features in terms of strong Hadoop integration that we like. A lot of carriers will have their own Hadoop clusters, data oceans, et cetera, that they want us to integrate with, and Vertica makes that fairly straightforward. And we like a lot of the embedded analytics as well. So the distributed R capability for our predictive analytics and things along those lines.
And so it occurs to me that the effort that you put into this at Spirent and being able to take vast amounts of data across a complex network and then come out with these analytic benefits could be extended to any number of environments. Is there a path, a parallel between what you're doing with mobile and telco carriers that could extend to maybe networks that are managing Internet of Things types of devices?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're working with carriers on Internet of Things already today. So, the requirements that these things, so to speak, have in terms of the performance that they need to operate properly are different than that of human beings, let's say, but nevertheless, the underlying transactions that have to take place, the ability to get a radio connection and set up an IP address and communicate data back and forth to one another and do it in a robust, reliable way is still critical. So we definitely see our solution helping operators who are trying to be IoT platform providers to ensure the performance of those SLAs, of those IoT services and the SLAs that they have for them. And we do also see potential use for our technology going a step further into the vertical IoT applications themselves and doing, for example, predictive analytics on sensor data itself. That could be a future direction for us.
Great. Now, any words of wisdom for folks that are starting to deal with large data volumes across a wide variety of sources that are looking also for that more real-time analytic benefit? Any lessons learned that you could share from where Spirent has been and gone for others that are going to be facing some of these same big data issues?
I think it's important to focus on the end user value and the use cases as opposed to the technology. So we never really focus on getting data for the sake of getting data or the V's, so to speak. We focus more on what problem is the customer trying to accomplish and how can I most sort of simply, elegantly solve it. And that sort of steered us clear, I think, from maybe jumping on the latest and greatest technology bandwagons and instead going with proven technologies and leveraging our subject matter expertise.
Okay, well, very good. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. We've been exploring the ways that Spirent Communications advances the use of big data to provide improved user experiences for their telecommunications operators' customers. So we've identified some advanced analytics and how they're drawing on more data sources and providing their telco customers more rapid insights into their networks and operations. So join me in thanking our guest. We've been here with Tom Russo, Director of Product Management and Marketing at Spirent Communications in Matawan, New Jersey. Thanks so much.
Thanks very much, Dana. Thanks for having me.
And a big thank you to our audience as well for joining us for this big data information innovation case study discussion. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host for this ongoing series of HP-sponsored discussions. Thanks again for listening, and come back next time.